Imagine a summer with no AC, no thermostat, no hum in the background. Just the heat, thick and steady, settling into every room. But back then, folks didn't complain. They got smart. They opened windows just right, built homes that breathed, found comfort in shade, stillness, and the smallest breeze. And what they came up with? It was nothing short of genius. Let's take a look. Number 1, high ceilings and cross-breeze design. Long before thermostats and ductwork, home builders had to think like nature. They built high. Ceilings that stretched toward the roofline let hot air rise and stay there, well above the people below. Windows were placed across from each other on purpose to catch the slightest breeze and send it flowing from one side of the house to the other. It wasn't luck, it was strategy. A well-built house didn't trap heat, it moved it. The walls breathed, the air shifted, and in the stillness of summer, that gentle circulation could mean the difference between sweating through your shirt and finding a patch of comfort. You didn't need a fancy machine, just good bones, good placement, and maybe a ceiling fan humming overhead. Number 2, opening windows on the shady side. Back then, folks didn't just fling every window open and hope for the best. They watched the sun. In the morning, they'd open windows on the cooler, shaded side of the house to welcome in the fresh air. As the day wore on and the sun shifted, they'd close those and open the opposite side, chasing comfort one window at a time. It was a slow, deliberate routine, but it worked. You could feel the air move, just slightly like a whisper across your neck. And for many, that little breeze was everything. It cooled the floors, lifted the heat, and made the room feel alive again. This was passive cooling in its purest form, and it didn't cost a dime. All it took was attention, patience, and a deep respect for the rhythm of the day. Number 3, large front porches, more than decoration. In the heat of summer, that wide stretch of planks out front became a sacred space. It wasn't just for looks, it was where life happened. In the golden hour, families would gather there, sipping iced tea or lemonade, watching the world go by one slow breath at a time. A gentle breeze, a radio playing softly, and the creak of a rocking chair. It was all part of the evening ritual. The porch offered shade, but more than that, it offered connection. Neighbors waved from across the street. Kids played until the porch light flickered on, and grown-ups traded stories, laughter, and maybe even a few secrets. Long before central air, porches were America's cooling stations, but they were also our front row seats to a slower, sweeter kind of life. Number 4, sleeping on the porch. When the upstairs bedrooms turned into ovens, families moved outside. The screened-in porch became a summertime bedroom, open to the night, but safe from the bugs. Kids would drag out pillows and quilts, sometimes even an old cot, and fall asleep to the sound of crickets, the hum of a fan, and the occasional car rumbling down the road. It was cooler out there, sure, but it also felt like an adventure. The smell of grass, the flicker of fireflies, the way the breeze moved through the screen like a lullaby. You didn't need AC, just the open air and the quiet comfort of knowing your whole family was nearby. And in that moment, half asleep, half listening to the night, it felt like the world had slowed down. Just enough. Number 5, barefoot summers and cotton clothes. When the heat rolled in, shoes came off. Kids ran barefoot across sun-baked sidewalks, grass still cool from the morning dew. There was a freedom to it. No socks, no sneakers, just the earth underfoot and the thrill of summer buzzing in every step. Clothes followed suit. Thin cotton ruled the day. Men lounged in sleeveless undershirts. Women wore loose floral dresses that caught the wind just right. And babies, diapers and nothing more. The fabric wasn't fancy, it breathed. It let the skin feel the air. Before synthetic blends and air-conditioned wardrobes, folks dressed smart for the season. And when the sun dipped low, you'd hang those clothes on the line, still damp with sweat and effort, knowing they'd be dry by dusk, ready to do it all over again tomorrow. Number 6, wet sheets, open windows, and mosquito nets. When fans weren't enough, people turned to water. A damp sheet hung in front of an open window could transform a hot breeze into cool relief. Some folks slept with wet towels across their chests or placed bowls of ice near the bed, hoping the fan might push that chill through the air. It wasn't glamorous, but it worked. Of course, with all those windows wide open, something else always came in. The bugs. That's where the mosquito net came in. Light as a veil, draped from the ceiling, tucked in just so. It let the night air through, but kept the bites out. These tricks were born from necessity, passed down like old recipes. They weren't just clever, they were comforting. A kind of nighttime ritual, woven from cotton, water, and hope for a cooler sleep. Number 7, ice delivery and homemade cool downs. Before refrigerators were standard, you waited for the Iceman. He'd show up with giant blocks held by iron tongs, sweating in the sun, and lower them into your wooden icebox. But that ice wasn't just for food. People got creative. You'd soak your feet in a basin of cold water, press a chilled soda bottle against your neck, wrap a wet towel around your shoulders. Some folks even lined their pillowcases with ice chips wrapped in cloth. It wasn't fancy, but it was relief. And when that ice truck came rattling down the street, kids would chase it like it was the ice cream man, begging for chips to suck on in the heat. It was simple joy, a cold moment in a sweltering day. And in those days, a single block of ice could feel like a small miracle. Number 8, fans and bowls of ice water. Before climate control meant pushing a button, cooling off required a little ingenuity. If you were lucky enough to own an electric fan, you made it count. Folks would place a bowl of ice, sometimes even just frozen peas, right in front of the fan, turning a warm breeze into something almost refreshing. Kids sprawled out on the linoleum floor, arms stretched, faces tilted into the airflow like sunflowers chasing light. It wasn't cold, but it was cooler. And on a still summer night, that made all the difference. The hum of the motor, the ticking oscillation, the way the curtains danced in the breeze, it was a lullaby of its own. That setup, fan, ice, in a quiet room wasn't just a cooling trick. It was a ritual, and for many of us, it was the sound of summer. Number 9, rearranging summer life indoors. When the upstairs felt like a furnace, families didn't just tough it out, they adapted. Beds were dragged downstairs, mattresses found their way onto living room floors, where it was just a few degrees cooler, but enough to sleep. Curtains stayed drawn tight during the day, blocking out the worst of the sun. Meals were cooked early, or not at all. Cold cuts, fruit, and iced tea became summer staples. The whole rhythm of the household shifted with the heat. Housework happened before breakfast. Quiet time stretched into the hottest hours. Evenings were for open windows, conversation, and catching what little breeze came through. It wasn't always comfortable, but it was coordinated. And looking back now, there's something beautiful in that shared surrender. How a family moved as one, adjusting their lives to meet the season head-on. Number 10, everyone in one cool room. In the days before whole house cooling, comfort came in small pockets, and families learned to gather around them. If your house had a single fan, or later on a window unit, that room became the heart of summer. Couches turned into beds, quilts were spread across the floor. Kids slept shoulder to shoulder, feet tangled, while mom and dad read or listened to the radio nearby. It wasn't spacious, it wasn't silent, but it was cool, and it was together. You could hear the fan hum like a lullaby. The air felt different in that one sacred space. It smelled like sleep, lemonade, and the day's dust finally settling. And though it may have been tight quarters, no one seemed to mind. Because in that little oasis of cool, You didn't just beat the heat, you belonged. Number 11, the first window air conditioners. When these clunky humming machines first showed up in the late 30s and 40s, they were a luxury, loud, bulky, and expensive. But after World War II, production picked up. By the 1950s, middle-class families began installing them in living rooms across America. Just one unit could transform the entire mood of a house. Everyone, kids, parents, even the dog, would crowd into that one chilled room. You'd feel the cool air hit your skin and think, is this what heaven feels like? Some slept there. Some stayed all day. It didn't matter. That window unit was a miracle, a slice of the future blowing cold air through a metal box. And when it kicked on with that deep, mechanical hum, you knew summer had finally changed forever. Number 12, swamp coolers in the Southwest. In dry places like Arizona or New Mexico, where humidity was low but the heat was relentless, folks turned to something called the evaporative cooler, nicknamed the swamp cooler. It wasn't fancy. Air was pulled through water-soaked pads, and as it passed through, the evaporation cooled it down. The result? A steady damp breeze that could turn a desert home into a livable oasis. It didn't work everywhere. High humidity made them useless. But in the right place, it was a godsend. You'd hear the low gurgle of water, feel that cool air wrap around you like a wet cotton sheet. It wasn't crisp like modern AC, but it had character. And when the sun beat down and the dust blew in, that old swamp cooler, well, it earned its spot in the window every single time. Number 13, work at sunrise, rest at noon. Before modern cooling, people didn't fight the heat. They worked around it. Farmers were up before dawn, out in the fields as the first light touched the soil. Chores were done early, clothes were washed, gardens tended, barns swept, before the sun climbed too high. By noon, the world slowed. Folks took refuge under trees, in hammocks, or on shaded porches. Meals were light, movement was minimal. You'd hear only the chirp of cicadas and the occasional creak of a rocking chair. Then, as the sun dipped low again, the day picked back up, just a little. It was a rhythm tied to nature and to survival. And in that rhythm, there was wisdom. The kind you don't find on a thermostat, but in knowing when to move, when to wait, and how to listen to the heat instead of fighting it. Number 14, lemonade stands and fire hydrants. For kids, summer wasn't just about staying cool. It was about making memories. On quiet suburban streets, lemonade stands popped up like dandelions. A folding table, a picture of country time, and a sign drawn in crayon, 10 cents a cup. Sticky fingers, wide smiles, and the thrill of earning pocket change. But in the city, cooling down took a different form. Someone would crack open a fire hydrant, and just like that, the block became a water park. Barefoot kids shrieked with joy, dancing through the spray like it was a gift from heaven. Grown-ups didn't complain. They watched from stoops with fans in hand, maybe even joined in. It wasn't organized, it wasn't planned, but it was pure magic. That kind of summer joy didn't come from a thermostat, it came from the street. Number 15, homemade shade, awnings, trees, and thick curtains. Before blackout blinds and tinted windows, people crafted their own shade. Canvas awnings stretched over windows like sleepy eyelids, blocking the midday glare. Trees weren't just landscaping, they were air conditioners with roots. A big oak could drop the temperature beneath it by 10 degrees. And indoors, heavy curtains, often handmade, were pulled tight by noon, turning living rooms into shadowy retreats. It wasn't just about comfort, it was about survival. Heat didn't knock politely, it barged in. And these layers of shade, stitched and planted by hand, were the first line of defense. You could feel the cool just standing still in their shelter. No buzzing machines, no hum, just stillness and a bit of quiet relief. That's how folks kept their cool with patience, fabric, and the wisdom of where to stand. Back then, summer didn't come with comfort. It came with character. Folks didn't escape the heat. They met it with grace, grit, and a little front porch wisdom. And somehow, even the hottest days left behind the coolest memories. Thanks for traveling back with us. If this brought a breeze to your heart, stick around. There's more where that came from.